Come on. It is a great day to be alive in Pittsburgh, PA. Welcome in, Kaboly+Mack. I'm Chris Mack. He's Mark Kaboly. People have said we should switch where we sit on the screen so it would make more sense. I've seen that feedback. Should we do that, Kaboom? Welcome in, by the way, everybody, to Kaboly+Mack, presented by the Dan Heck Team, heckteamhomes.com. All kinds of homes for sale this time of year, I should say. I'm very excited because we have a super special guest coming up towards the end of the show. Should I switch us so that you're on the other side, on this side of the screen, and I'm on the other side? Would that matter for people, you think?
I'm used to being on the right.
Okay. Would it mess you up if I swapped you around?
But am I on the right looking at you, or am I on the... Oh, God.
No, see, it wouldn't let me flip them around. I don't care that much to mess with it right now.
Who in the world's commenting about this?
I saw somebody comment somewhere yesterday. You know, if it's called Kaboly+Mack, it should be Kaboly and then Mack on the screen. The ends are backwards. And I said, okay, fair point. I don't think it really matters. I think, with our names down below us and most people looking at it, they can tell the difference between the two of us.
Let's call the IT guys and ask them, Mac.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me call the IT guy. Oh, wait. That's me. IT guy, business manager, executive producer, co-host, all that fun stuff. Am I technically the co-host or the host, or are we both hosts? Or does that mean we're both co-hosts?
The only thing I know about host is hostess. Not that type of hostess. I don't even do the hostess. I'm so cheap. I don't even buy hostess or Little Debbie. I buy the cheap versions of it.
Okay. Whatever works for you. The Dollar General version. Thanks to Dan Heck and the Heck team for presenting Kaboly+Mack. Heckteamhomes.com for you to buy or sell a home anywhere in the Pittsburgh area, whatever kind of home you're looking to buy or sell, looking to get out of the starter home into that forever home. Family is growing. Maybe you're downsizing and the kids, empty nesters, right? That happens to people. The kids are off to college soon in some cases. All them things happening. The Dan Heck team, heckteamhomes.com, there to help you. Yes, a very special guest joining us in about 26 minutes or so. We gave out some hints on social media. It's why you need to follow Kaboly+Mack on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. We've got an account there. Go follow it, and you'll get notifications, obviously, when we have super special guests joining us, like the one today, that I don't know if he'll have anything to share about the whole wide receiver situation now as it stands. Kaboom. We can talk to him about the trenches. He knows plenty about the trenches.
I was going to say, probably the most stable part of the offense right now, right?
Probably, yeah. Definitely.
In theory, all five guys are back. Maybe they're switching positions and getting a little bit more playing time, but you got the three interior guys what did they do? They probably started all but 4 or 5 games last year. No, I think Frazier missed 3, and McCormick missed maybe 2 or 3 when Daniels was there, and I think Sayamalu played them all. So, I mean, Roderick Jones has played pretty much every snap in 2 years or so, or for the most part. So it's a pretty stable group.
You actually have a pretty interesting. Well, hold on. You just tweeted it like right before the show started.
Yeah,
you stacked up the end of last season's roster against the beginning of this season's roster.
And of course, I'm like, I didn't know Aaron Rodgers was on the team yet.
That was Yoey. Just call out Yoey directly if you want to call out Yoey directly for saying that.
He says, mind you, by the way, he's going to Sweden.
Sweden. He goes to Sweden to cover the World Championships. That's actually going to be really cool to see Crosby and Flower play together one last time.
And Dubas is over there, so Maybe we'll get some answers from
So
the
this is, yeah, he's not hiring any coaches in Sweden, I don't think. So this is a really interesting comparison you put up. We'll just go position by position real quick. Quarterback, Russell Wilson last year.
literally 3 minutes. This tells you how much we actually prepared.
For the show.
3 minutes ago, I tweeted something, and that's the lead off of the show.
No, we have more important stuff to discuss, like rookie minicamp this weekend. I want to know who you're watching most closely and who people want you to watch most closely. I still have a question about the whole wide receiver 2 thing, but I think I may be coming around on the position just a little bit, not necessarily excited, because for a couple of months we had the pipe dream of Metcalf and Pickens together that has now been shattered. But I'm coming around for one reason in particular. I'll get to that. But you're right. Sometimes, inspiration strikes and you need to jump on it. So from quarterback, it goes from Russell Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. You should have added a question mark there, but
I'm a troll. I should have put I should have did the old high school or.
You could do that. Pitt loves to do that on their depth charts. Like they'll have a 3 deep and it'll be this guy or this guy or this guy or this guy. And it's like, come on, the ors don't even mean anything at that point. Running back from Najee to Jaylen Warren, RB2, Warren to Caleb Johnson, RB3, Cordarrelle Patterson to Kenny G. Your receiving core, Pickens, Jefferson, Austin, and Mike Williams to Metcalf, Austin, Wilson, and Woods. Tight ends stay the same, obviously. And then the only changes, as you just mentioned a moment ago, on the offensive line, could be some really a lot of upside, hopefully. Moore and Jones at the tackles to Jones and Fautanu at the
I think it's safe to say right now, when we look at the offensive line might be the strength of this team.
If Broderick Jones can pull his head out of his rear end.
Maybe we'll find out from a guest later on if he agrees with us.
Oh, I like that tease. Look at you learning the radio tease business. We'll ask that guy who's also a state basketball champion, by the way. People forget that. What he thinks of the offensive line.
I covered the young man when I was at the
He's not a young man anymore. He's a full-grown ass man now.
When I was at the McKee Sport Daily News, it was probably Elizabeth Forward versus this team in the playoffs. And I covered a couple of their games. I'm like, who's this big dude?
Who's this horse?
Yeah, horse.
He was a heavyweight wrestler as well for just a brief little glimpse in time. Just a little one, like a rocket ship across the sky in the high school wrestling landscape of Western PA. We'll get to our special guest later, but I don't know. It's interesting it's interesting you put that tweet out with the comparison of the offense from the end of last year to the beginning of this year, right? And the comparison between the two at each position all the way down the line, because
it was basically the guys that started the most. I mean, it was hard looking at wide receiver 4 and running back 3, but yeah, you threw in who.
I think you nailed it, though. I think that's pretty much what it was. And so I thought I was just thinking about 2 positions in particular on that list. And like I said, for 2 months, we allowed ourselves to dream wonderful dreams about what a Steelers offense with Pickens on one side and Metcalf on the other could be and what it could do and the downfield possibilities and all of that. And so my disappointment is understood, I think, by most people that now that dream has been shattered. But then I thought, well, wait. That's just the last 2 months. Back in January at the end of the season, we were talking about who are they going to go after as a second wide receiver to complement Pickens, right? Before the Metcalf trade happened. And if you would have told me back then that, Amari Cooper or Keenan Allen would have been one of the pieces that they added, I'd be like, okay. Not necessarily enthralled about that guy as a number 2 to George Pickens as the number 1, but it's better than what they had in 2024, right? Well, now I've allowed myself, and maybe I'm just doing this to cope, but I've allowed myself to look at it this way. If you would have told me a few months ago that you could go from Pickens and one of those guys we've mentioned, Cooper, Allen, whoever, as the top 2 receivers to Metcalf and one of those guys, Cooper, Allen, whoever, as the top 2 wide receivers. And all you'd have to do is trade a second this year for a third next year. I think I'd look at it and go, yeah, I kind of like that. And so if we take away the 2-month pipe dream that they allowed us to have of Pickens and Metcalf together, if we had gone into a coma on like February 1st and woken up today and been told, hey, you got rid of Pickens, but you got DK Metcalf, and all you had to do was swap this year's second for a third next year, I think I'd have gone, oh, okay, yeah, I like that.
You're putting way too much thought into this, but now I think of it, I should have had a pen and paper and saying second, third, Metcalf. Oh yeah, that sounds pretty.
I mean,
good.
that's essentially what the trade is, isn't it? You traded this year's second and Pickens for Metcalf and next year's third.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of boils down.
I think you hit it on the head that for the better part of now 2 months now, we had those delusions of grandeur of George Pickens and DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers, and I even said something yesterday about that. That's one thing that, as a football fan in general, that I will feel that I missed out on, or had the potential of missing out on, of covering and being able to watch every day George Pickens, DK Metcalf, potentially Aaron Rodgers, to make everybody happy out there on this offense. So I think you put it in perspective that way. That's why I think there's probably like, oh man, what's going on here? This team's just tanking. They're trying to lose. They're awful. But if you break it down like you said, that's not a bad gimmick. It's a short-term misery, I think. They're not a better team, I don't think, without George Pickens. They're not. They're just not a better team without George Pickens right now. But guess what? In 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, all of a sudden Pickens was gone anyways, and now you get a third-round pick. Like I said, short-term misery, but long-term potential here with that trade.
Yeah, I maybe it's just my little tiny brain trying to cope with it and make myself feel better about it because I was so down on things yesterday. Maybe it's just because it's a sunshiny, beautiful day in Western PA, and I'm trying to look on the bright side of things. I don't know what it is, but I look at it now through that lens. Hey, if I had gone into a coma on February 1st, knowing that it was Pickens and as the top 2 wide receivers, and woke up today going, oh, it's Metcalf and all right, and we only had to trade this year's second for next year's third in a draft that's supposed to be better next year, maybe. Then I walk away from it going, okay, yeah, I'm all right with that. And so, again, maybe it's just my way of coping. I don't know. But
the thing is, I mean, I still don't think that wide receivers on the front burner here within the immediate future of going to get one. But if they do end up getting one, who knows? If it's a Gabe Davis, it's a Amari Cooper, and depending on how they play, it's not like it's that big of a gap. Of course, there is a gap. George Pickens and anybody's a gap. But you have to take into account the other things surrounding him, of the possible blow-ups, the possible, everything else associated with that. So
like Amari Cooper coming in, if we're just throwing that name out there because he's still available as a free agent. Amari Cooper coming in as a wide receiver too, as a complement to DK Metcalf, isn't going to pitch a shit fit and fire his helmet into the sideline every time he comes off the field. You know what I mean? And so that is, and as much as I still dislike the fact that Mike Tomlin, who's good at managing that, kind of gave up on it in this instance, because of the talent that Pickens has, I do understand that, and you wrote about it yesterday, they've kind of turned that page. They've turned over a new leaf as far as wanting to deal with players who bring headaches to the table. They've focused a lot more in the last couple of years on bringing guys in who are the exact opposite of that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, and a lot of people were talking about the last draft of Kevin Colbert being such a disaster. I mean, any other new regime that's going to come in is not going to basically agree with the players that came before them. So I don't think it's a big surprise that the last Kevin Colbert draft is gone. Pretty much all 7 of them are gone because Omar, the whole scouting department, Andy White, which is totally different. So they're going to bring in their own guys, just like any other coach. If they bring in their coach, you bring in the new college coach, they're going to bring their guys in. You bring in a new pro coach, they're going to do their guys and get their guys. And, I think Dallas people are in this delusion of grandeur too with George Pickens. Of course, great talent. But my goodness, is he going to eat Brian Schottenheimer's dinner?
What happens the first time George loses a ball in the sun because it's coming in at the wrong angle through the other end of the stadium?
Or him yell. I mean, I can just picture him and Dak getting in fights in the sidelines. And I mean, I know Micah Parsons still has his they have the same agents. Just imagine the Micah Parsons podcast. Yeah, George was talking crap in the locker room.
Well, I understand that George thinks maybe going to Dallas, because the quarterback situation here in Pittsburgh is still up in the air, that going to Dallas is a better opportunity for him to stack numbers going into free agency.
Stack numbers.
What's that?
What if he doesn't?
Exactly. What if CD Lamb is still the better wide receiver and still the more dependable wide receiver? And oh, by the way, Dak Prescott has years of chemistry with him. That was the one thing Pickens had, that if nothing else, here in Pittsburgh, he had a year under the Arthur Smith offense and may have understood it just a little bit better than DK Metcalf. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe would have been able to do more in the system. But you go to Dallas, you're the unquestioned number 2 to CD Lamb there.
Yeah,
here he was number 2, but I think the gulf between Metcalf and Pickens is a little bit closer than the gulf between Lamb and Pickens. And he would have had an opportunity to stack those numbers. I still would love to know what happened in the last few weeks to where Mike Tomlin finally said, okay, I'm done with this dude. I can't anymore. Was there a text? Was there a call? Was something hey, coach, I'm going to need a new deal before I come in?
I think it was just the compensation, to be honest with you. I think maybe a couple weeks ago to a month ago or whatever it is, or they probably said, hey, if we can get a third for this guy, let's go. If not, we're not budging off of that 3. Dallas was offering 4. Then finally Dallas caved a little bit, which means why the timing's so screwed up. Doesn't make any sense. Finally said Dallas and Jerry Jones goes, we got to make a move here.
Yeah.
Here's your third. And they're like, we can't pass this up. That's what it sounds like to me that happened.
Thanks to Southwest Greens for being a reliable, dependable sponsor of Kaboly+Mack. SouthwestGreensPA.com. If you're like Kaboom or I, you're going to have to cut the grass this weekend probably. And then in the middle of July and August, you're going to have to go out there and water it if you don't want it to dry up and die. And then you're going to have to spray some kind of fertilizer stuff on it to make sure it grows and you don't get a whole bunch of weeds. It's a headache taking care of your lawn. So why not take care of it once and for all with Southwest Greens? SouthwestGreensPA.com. Go take a look at what they can do for you. Maybe it's just part of the yard. Maybe it's just the area around the kids' swing set or around the pool, or maybe a little putting area for you to practice the golf. Whatever it may be, they can do that. They can do the whole yard with an artificial lawn that will be the best looking lawn in the neighborhood and also require the least amount of maintenance of any lawn in the neighborhood. We can guarantee that. Great for kids, great for pets, and great for you. SouthwestGreensPA.com. Go check them out today. Tell Jake that Kaboly+Mack sent you. So, rookie minicamp this weekend. Who you watching most closely, Kaboom?
I mean, probably just Will Hard. Will Hard.
Oh, my God. That's the first Will Hard I've heard, but that was an excellent Will Hard.
Yeah, Will Hard. I mean, who else are you going to look at? But like I said, we're talking about a little bit more than an hour of a walkthrough where 40 of those minutes are probably just going to be drilled like things. So you're not going to say, I mean, if anybody comes out and says so-and-so looks good, this guy looks great, just delete them. Just delete them from your Twitter account or whatever, because it doesn't make. I've always told this story. I've told this story a number of times, and I'll tell you again. It was probably 10, 12, 13 years ago when they drafted Dree Archer, and Dree Archer showed up to rookie minicamp. Was unbelievable. He was here. Everybody else was down here. 3 weeks later, the pros came, and the pros were here and Dre Archer was woo down here. I'm like, okay, I won't fall for that one anymore. So you're not going to be able to see them go through a walkthrough or whatever and say, boy, this guy is good. This, you can't make a decision at all. Maybe the size of the guy, how he carries himself. If he throws a bad pass, who the hell cares? If he throws a good pass, who the hell cares?
Well, that's the other thing. None of these guys have really worked with each other before. So in that instance, it will be a lot like, and look, I had my questions about Will Howard after some of those throws at the combine, but obviously he wasn't thrown to guys that he knew at the combine. Looked better at the Ohio State Pro Day, right? With guys that he knew.
80% of these guys were tryouts.
Right. Tryouts. I mean, so there are a lot of guys that will be in this rookie minicamp that, to be quite honest, the goal for them is, can I get on the practice squad maybe? Can I just stick around and draw some kind of paycheck this fall? Is that at all possible? And that's, look, everybody's at a different level here. That I'm not saying that's wrong. In some cases, these guys catching on and getting to play football for another year and actually get paid something for it could be a dream come true. Could just extend the possibility that maybe something happens with it someday down the line. But that's what most of these guys are going to be. Not most of them did not play on national championship college teams. Most of them were not drafted.
Or, even during the season, if somebody gets hurt, be like, hey, you remember that guy we brought in for that tryout? Let's throw him back on the practice squad because we had to move somebody up from the practice squad. But another thing is, you have some of these guys living out their dreams of even going to a camp. Probably doesn't belong to go anywhere, but they call it a tryout so they can field a team. You're putting a Steelers helmet on for 3 days. Has to be an absolutely spectacular feeling. I mean, there's a bunch of local guys who will be there. Could you imagine that? It's a good weekend for that. But I wouldn't really see, and I know you're going to see it. Boy, so-and-so looks quick, blah, blah, blah. He looks like he can start. I'd start him right up.
Great ball from Will Howard. Unbelievable.
Just don't. Just don't. That's all I say. Don't.
Just don't do
Don't
it.
buy.
So, who are besides Howard? Well, I guess Howard and Harmon are probably the two guys you're most interested in talking to. Right?
I mean, Johnson's another guy. Is you'll be able to see him going through drills compared to how. I mean, Najee was a freaking monster at some drills, man. And Eddie Faulkner, the running back, by far my favorite running back coach of all time, because he comes up with the craziest drills to simulate like real football action of somehow. How those guys be able to work their way through that and feel comfortable doing that. And then you can call back on, hey, Najee wasn't that good when he did that. Jaylen Warren's right here. He's not as good as when he does that. So you'll be able to get a sense a little bit of how athletic he is. But if you're taking Caleb Johnson 84 and he's rushed for 2 million yards at Iowa, I'm assuming he's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I would hope so.
These drills,
Yeah, I mean, Eddie Faulkner's kid's going to be there. Did you see that?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, he's slippery rock. I don't deal with those people.
Whoa, I'll deal with those slippery rock people.
Oh, I should rock the Cal U hat tomorrow.
What, just to see if you can catch some heat for it?
Cheap
heat Kaboly.
Well, and the problem is we beat them during the regular season. I think they whipped their rear ends in the playoffs. So
I like the fact that you still say we about Cal U. That's
I don't say we. I
just did. You just did.
We. Well, you know what? I'll accept Cal U, but this Penn West thing, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's unacceptable, really. I mean, they're all still separate campuses, right?
They're still Cal U, but I guess they're just governed by one body.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Three of them. I think it's Clarion, Edinburgh, and Cal, I think.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. They're still Clarion, Edinburgh, and Cal then. Like, don't try to tell me that three schools that are 3 hours apart from each other are all the same.
What are you talking about? You're saying Penn State McKeesport's Penn State, right? Greater Allegheny. My fault. I can't say Greater Allegheny. Working in McKeesport for 15 years. If you say Penn State Greater Allegheny, you might get the RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah, totally. I mean, look, back in our day, people looked down at like CCAC and branch campuses and all that stuff, and they'd joke around and call it 13th grade. It's different now. I don't know.
All
At
I
least
know
think
is
it is.
I went to the community college for a couple of years. You know what that means? I
Mm.
didn't have to freaking take out any loans, brother.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. People
the
are smart
credits?
enough to look at it differently now.
You transfer the credits, and then you can go to. I don't have to pay to room and board and get drunk at Penn State.
Yeah, that was not not the smartest decision. Look, I loved my time there. Don't get me wrong. We are. But
Speaking of Penn State,
no, just relax. But like, I mean, 4 years of state-sponsored drinking in many cases. I mean, and I got a little piece of paper when I walked out. So
yes, just think, you got the hat on. If you would have went to trade school, you could be at Impact HVAC.
I could.
Actually,
I could be a heating and cooling technician. You're absolutely right.
And you could be sponsoring somebody else's podcast.
I could. Speaking of which, thanks to the boys at Impact HVAC for being proud sponsors of Kaboly+Mack. 412-297-1852. Whether it's just a simple tune-up or a service, maintenance, or you got an emergency and you got to get something taken care of today because the AC went kaput, or maybe during the winter months, the furnace stops working. It's all happened at our house before, and Impact HVAC has been great. Impact HVAC PGH on Facebook, or just give them a call anytime, 412-297-1852. You're right. Then I wouldn't be doing a podcast in my basement right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. You're not in your basement, though. You're like in a fancy...
Yeah, I'm still putting things together.
You've been saying that for like 3 weeks now.
Yeah, but things tend to happen. Get busy.
Like what?
I get busy and baseball, and here's a good story yesterday. The kid's baseball practice.
Is this about one of the 6 baseball teams that you signed your kid up for?
Well, he wanted to. No, it almost, but his baseball practice was canceled, right? But some of the kids were going to go up and just hit the ball out somewhere. I'm like, oh, he'll go. He wants to go, whatever. But they were having that Millie's ice cream place at Gill Hall Elementary, which is like 10 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
And the boy says, hey, I want to go there and get an ice cream, like a scoop of ice cream. Okay, I pull in, and I see a kid there who has the same flag football team shirt that he has on. Hits me like a ton of bricks. He has practice on Wednesdays.
Oh, no.
Football, but he can never go because he has baseball. So he ran and went down to flag football. Then he had to get back and get your Millie's ice cream for $5 for one scoop.
So you've got him signed up for flag football, 2 different baseball teams.
Now he wants to play summer flag football too. He made a kid cry yesterday at flag football. I was a proud dad.
Why? What did he do?
Well, they did something where each kid called out who they wanted to go against, sort of like Oklahoma drills, but
right
flags. And the kid called him out because he's always slow and doesn't
have the quickest.
He's not aggressive enough yet, right?
Okay.
So he freaking drills the guy and yanks his flag out, and the kid got mad and cried.
See, don't try and bully little Kaboom. It will not go well for you. I love it.
Big weekend though. We got Friday doubleheader. Football at 6, baseball 7:30, 10:30 Saturday morning, then Monday at 6. We're gonna be flying. So what happens when a month and a half gets rained out?
You're gonna run this kid into the ground. Like seriously.
It's either that or he sits here and watches like goofy YouTube videos. So you tell me.
No, hey, anytime. I got my kid in the backyard trying to build like a homemade motocross track out of sheets of plywood and bricks.
Speaking of that, next Saturday, baby, Monster Jam.
Oh yeah. I couldn't end up finding tickets anywhere for you.
I end up getting them. I end up splurging.
Oh, look at you. Look at you. Big money Kaboom splurging on.
Oh, but I cheaped out on the back end of it. I'm like, hey, boy, Hey, kid. I said, you want that Gravedigger shirt? Yeah. So I got it like on Amazon for $15, knowing it was going to be $70 down there.
It's pretty smart of you.
Mm.
You should have got a whole bunch of them, and you could have stood outside Heinz Field and sold them. Made some money on
$50 inside, $10 right here.
Yep. You could have done that. You could have been that guy. You could have made a tidy little profit. Could have paid for your tickets, my friend.
By the way, I mean, we're off this beaten path here.
Yeah, we're way off.
I think I'm going to do the ultimate Yinzer thing. Park over across the river and take the Gateway Clipper over.
That is real Yinzer, but it's not a bad idea.
That's ultimate Yinzer.
But it's not a bad idea, I don't think.
Station Square and that.
I mean, I've never had a problem taking the Clipper over. I mean, give yourself a little extra time, you're all good. I did want to ask you this because we talked about the number 2 wide receiver position earlier, and we'll talk plenty of line play in a second. But who is the perfect? Who's the best possible candidate still out there in Mark Kaboly's mind for the number 2 wide receiver spot?
I've always liked Keenan Allen. I mean, I think he would provide a good yin to the yang of DK Metcalf. I mean, Keenan Allen's a great possession guy, a great red zone guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, how much does he still want to play? I don't know. How much is it going to cost? I don't know. I don't even know how much he has left. He was banged up a couple years ago. He'd have to pass a lot of those questions beforehand, but he would probably be top of the list. I mean, Amari Cooper's right there too to me. Like I said, he's just how great of a locker room guy he is. I think he could help out in that way along with DK Metcalf. I don't know if I'm interested in guys like Dobbs and Allen Lazard. I think you want to stay away from that because you're then risking the potential that would happen in the Jets last year, where some of the veterans getting a little cranky because Aaron brought in his guys.
Right.
If you can stay away from that, I would. But
whoever they add at this point,
stuff. I don't believe that Aaron Rodgers might not even know George Pickens got traded. I mean, Florio's floating out on the fan that Rodgers is waiting to sign because of the schedule release. I don't think he gives 2 flying farts about that. Plus, they're going to get their 6 primetime games anyways. They're going to get their Thanksgiving game, whatever. They're going overseas. There's nothing going to change there. So I don't think that. I don't think they. You think they're worried about when he's going to sign? Hey, Aaron, if we brought in Allen Lazard, would that make you sign? No, they're just letting him be.
I mean, that was what the Jets did last year. So
yeah, and I think that's why Garrett Wilson got a little hot. Not a little hot, okay. A little cranky.
Fair point. Hey, you know what time it is, Kaboom?
What's that? Oh, you're such a Yinzer.
We are, baby. We are. Look who's here. The man himself, a state basketball champ, the legend, a one-time shooting star as a high school wrestler as well. The man's got a Super Bowl ring, one-time Steelers draft pick. AQ Shipley in the house. Welcome, my friend.
What's up, boys? How we doing?
We're doing excellent. Kaboly gets real heated when I put my Penn State hat on. He thinks I'm being a fanboy, and maybe I am. I'm okay with that.
I think he's rocking that. What is that? Is that a Thomas Jefferson hat right there?
Yeah.
Oh, for you.
Yeah, that knocked me out of the WPIAL championship my senior year. So I appreciate that, Kaboly. That was nice.
Nice job. Why don't you just invite Chirpak in here to kick him in the nuts while you're at it?
He was just Chirpak told every offensive lineman just to cut my knees the whole game. That was cool. That was awesome. Good job, Chirp.
Goddamn Chirpak.
Ooh, it worked. It worked.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
Well, welcome in, AQ. We appreciate you taking the time. We've been talking wide receivers, obviously, for the last 36 hours because of the Pickens trade. And there's plenty of wide receiver stuff to talk about. But the one thing we came out of the draft talking about the Steelers with was the Andy Weidl plan seems to be at 110 miles an hour now, all the way ramped up, remaking the trenches, offensive line the last couple of years, a couple D-line picks as well, like your Keanu Bentons of the world, and now this year, all in on Derek Harmon, baby. It looks like they've finally come around after kind of stalling out towards the end of Ben's career and replenishing the trenches. They're all in on getting both sides of the ball fixed up.
Well, that's what they've always been so good at, honestly. I mean, like if you look at historically over the years with what they've been able to do, they've always saw an aging Brett Keisel and replaced him with a Cam Hayward, or saw an aging James Harrison and replace him with a TJ Watt, right? Or whoever it may be, right? They always go and find that guy as they're starting to age out and maybe get 1 or 2 more years out of him. In Cam's case, I mean, he's defying the odds and getting a couple more out of it. But, they're able to find that guy that is starting to age out, and they find that next replacement where he can learn a year or two, get a little bit of playing time, and then just kind of step right in. The Ravens always do a nice job with that. The Patriots for years have done a nice job of that. Your teams that have continued success do a really nice job of that. They don't let you wait a year too late, and then you're sitting there in scramble mode for the next 3 years trying to rebuild. They just try and replenish, do a good job. They've struggled a little bit kind of hitting on the offensive line, but they feel like I think they feel like they got the group now, right? I think if they got Fatanu healthy, they love obviously Frazier. You get the rest of the group kind of gelling together this training camp, and they got a young group, and if they can get this group to feel good about themselves, O-line, D-line looks like it could be a bright spot for the future.
Thank you. We love what you do on the Pat Show. I tell you that all the time. Absolutely tremendous segment or day every week during the season. So you obviously your offensive line.
Appreciate it.
Bring it back to the Zach Frazier thing real quick. Obviously, you're familiar with center. This is a guy straight out of college, starts every single game. How hard do you think that was for a guy coming out of college and being able to produce at a high level so quickly, and even got injured and came back at a high level?
I think it's so much harder than people realize, honestly. I remember whenever I came in, I mean, the lingo, the terminology, all of the different plays, right? Like you run, once you get into the NFL, everybody runs the same plays. But the way the college game is now, it's so spread out. Everything's spread. Nobody's under center. You basically just tell your offensive lineman to go left or right, and it's some type of zone play. And then you have the RPOs and the speed options and the read options off of it. So it's not a very complex offense. Well, then you get into the NFL, and now you got a whole system, right? You got your zone plays, you got your inside and outside zones, you got your 1-back power, your 2-back power, which are blocked completely different, by the way. You have your counters to the weak side, you got your counters to the strong side, you got your G scheme, you got your toss plays, you got a whole gamut of things. And then, oh, by the way, you got 8 or 10 different protections plus 7 or 8 different play actions off of it, right? Like there's a whole different animal. And so mentally, the center position, I think, is so hard to come in and play right away. And when you see a guy like Zach Frazier be able to handle that mentally, especially, in his first year, but then also being the physical guy and being the same guy that he was in college, because I think sometimes that gets lost in translation. When you're a stud in college and you're that guy that's playing through the whistle, not to the whistle, and you have this physical, that kind of gets pulled back from you a little bit as a rookie, because you go into training camp and now you're going against Cam Hayward. He's like, hold on, young buck. We ain't doing that, right? And so you start to maybe lose a little bit of that, but once he got into the games, you still see that finished ability from Frazier. You see him getting to the second level, putting people on the ground. You see him taking nose guards and D tackles 15 yards downfield, the same stuff you saw from him in college. And so he's a stud, and I think he's going to be the guy for the next 15 plus years, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's a monster. That wrestling background, again, always comes in huge. Take it out to the tackle spot now. Like Broderick Jones has the size and the ability. I think we've all seen it to do what you need your left tackle to do, especially a guy that you trade up a few spots to go get. But for whatever reason, immaturity, lack of preparation, because of immaturity, whatever it's been, we don't know. But he just hasn't quite hit his stride yet. Is that something you've seen from guys in your time in the league? Like, hey, this guy's got all the physical gifts in the world, but for whatever reason, it's not clicking upstairs, or he's just not, maybe it is all the stuff, all the blocking schemes you just laid out. It just takes time to adapt to that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I played with a guy, DJ Humphries. I don't know if you guys know that name, but played with me with the Cardinals for a long time, just signed with the 49ers. And DJ was that guy. We drafted him in the first round. He didn't play a single snap. I don't think he dressed out a game his entire rookie year. And then he comes in the second year and he's starting, maybe at right tackle, and he gets this. It's a very similar situation where he starts on the right side and moves to the left side and then kind of hit his stride. And I remember when it all clicked for him. It was like, okay, like you saw like this light go off in his head and it all clicked. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen for Broderick. I hope it does. The problem is with a young guy, and you're only a one-side guy for the most part for your career. You've always been the best. You go there and you're at Georgia and you're this left tackle, whatever it is, and then they move you to right tackle, they move you back to left tackle, they move you back to right tackle, they move you to left, and you're kind of flip-flop, and maybe you don't fully mentally grasp it, and now you start thinking in your head, you start to question yourself a little bit. Like, there's so much stuff that goes into this that people don't realize, and the minute you question confidence, belief in yourself, even that much in the NFL, it's over. Like, you have to like be so good mentally at telling yourself you're better than you actually are, because you have to believe that every Sunday, because the guys across from you are absolute freakazoids, right? And if there's any doubt whatsoever and you play even just the slightest bit slow, it's a wrap. And it's not anything to do with talent. It's not anything to do with ability. It's not anything to do with maybe anything that you can control. But then there's some other things that maybe just creeps into your mind. You question, now you're going back and forth, and now you're on the right side, and now you're just a little slow because you're sitting here thinking it's an outside zone left, and that might be called with an odd number, so like 37, for instance. But then, you're telling yourself in the head, like, okay, an odd number is always a strong side zone, but then you go to the right side and they call 37, and now you go right instead of left, and it's like all this different stuff that could play into it. You see it kind of. It's just he's a tick slow right now, and I think it's because of the moving around and maybe just questioning himself a little bit. But if he can get that belief back, the ability, the talent, all that stuff's there. There's no reason why he can't be. You're a first round pick and a first round talent ability wise for a reason, right?
Fatanu played sparingly last year before he got hurt. Now, even though he's been in the system for a year and been around for a year, is it still looked at as a rookie season here? Or did he at least learn, you think, something from last year, just being around in that locker room for a year?
I think he learned a lot, to be honest. I think there's so much that you can learn even when you're not playing, especially as a rookie. And the fortunate thing for him was he did get some reps, right? Like, he was able to go through a portion of training camp. Like, he went through the offseason, but you're still sitting in meetings. The meetings are the crucial part. Like, this is what people don't understand is, like, the best five don't always play. He's going to get his fair share regardless because he's a first-round pick and he's got the talent, he's got the ability, but it's the five people that we can trust the most that we have to be able to put out on Sundays, right? And so what does that come down? That comes down to mentally, right? And so what is that? Where does that start? It starts in the meeting room. So even if he didn't get all of the physical stuff, he got enough of the physical stuff, but the mental stuff is everything. If he's sitting in those meetings and he's doing all the right things and he's taking notes and he's learning the system, he's learning the scheme, now it's not the first time he's hearing it when he comes back this year, right into the OTAs, and he's listening to Arthur Smith present the meetings. You listen to the O-line coach present all the blocking schemes and the terminology. He's heard this before. This is not new to him. Now we can just do this. Now we just have to be able to take the mental part and turn it into the physical part when we walk onto the field. So I think he gained a lot, and he got some reps, and the reps that he got in games last year were damn good. So I think he's got a bright future too. He was my favorite lineman coming out of the draft. So when he fell to Pittsburgh, I was fired up for them.
Could that be a silver lining, you think, that he kind of got a red shirt, so to speak? You know what I mean? He got to sit and be around it, even if he wasn't physically being a part of it, like out on the field, running, even walking through reps. I don't know how much Kaboom would know better than I would, how physically involved he was in things late in the year. But like, just to be able to mentally take the time to process everything in those meetings last year, even though he wasn't healthy enough to play.
It's huge. I'm telling you, I can't emphasize that enough. It is huge getting the mental aspect out in your rookie year, because you're in a full tilt sprint, right? Like, especially for him, he went to the college football playoffs, right? So he's in the play or whatever. He's in the Final Four thing of that. So he's playing all the way into late January, and then he goes right to his training facility. He gets right into training for combine, whatever else he's got going on. Then it's pro day. Whereas some of these vets, right? Like, you get done and you maybe lose first round of the playoffs, you're done in January. Now you get 2.5 months off. You get a breather. There's no breather for these college seniors or college juniors that are going in the draft, and now they become draft picks and go to a team, because you go from playing your last game right into training for combine, right into training for pro day, right into rookie minicamp, right? You can't come up for air, right? And so for him, he gets a little bit of a break, right? He gets a little bit of a breather from the physical aspect, and now he can just take in all the mental stuff. I think that's huge for him, honestly. And I think, as long as he comes back from the injury clean and everything from last year, the mental thing that he got last year is going to be absolutely humongous for him going into his second year.
Obviously, you watch a lot of offensive play work or line work during the season. I'm going to put you on the spot here. AFC North. Rank them for me. Who do you like offensive line-wise, 1 to 4? I don't even know if you want to go down that route, but I'm assuming that Baltimore's up there pretty high.
Baltimore's got to be 1, right? Like, I think they might, talent-wise, roster-wise, I mean, they might be the most talented roster in the NFL at this point. I mean, they really are. I mean, in terms of you put their offensive line, and listen, here's the other thing. Like, the two animals they got in the backfield can cover up some stuff too. Like, let's not forget that, right? Like, you don't have to be perfect in that scheme because you got Lamar and you got Derrick Henry, period. Like, you can miss a block and Derrick Henry gets hit behind the line of scrimmage by the 3 technique. He runs through it and all of a sudden he's 70 for a touchdown. So there's some things that can get covered up, but they got the guys that fit their scheme and fit their mold for what they want to do. They got to be 1. I really like Cleveland's group. I really do. I don't love their tackle situation, but I think Pochich at center, and then Bitonio and Wyatt Teller are as good as they come. I think Teller and Bitonio are awesome. Pittsburgh's so young and so kind of unseasoned, I guess, at this point. Like, they have the ability to be very good. They could probably move into 2, I guess, depending on how they gel, and second year in Art Smith's system. Like, if they do exactly what Art wants to do, that wasn't full Arthur Smith's system last year. Like, when you watch Atlanta and then you watch the way Pittsburgh ran it last year, it wasn't fully there. So whether or not they take that step and now go fully towards that in year 2 with the guys they got there and the young guys, and they all buy in, and it starts obviously with the center, I think they could be damn good. And I think Cincinnati's got a long way to go. They're the bottom dwellers of the O-line. I apologize to them, but they've tried their ass off to make it work. They went and got my guy Alex Kappa from Tampa. That didn't work out well for him. He ends up getting cut and going to the Raiders. They keep trying to make these moves, and I think they're just kind of just a step behind on what they're trying to get accomplished.
They're taking years off of Joey Burr's life at this point, AQ.
I couldn't agree more. And he's so talented, and it'd be a shame to miss his window,
Yeah, it's crazy. I wanted to ask you, so every year it feels like we get one of these grass-fed horses from some South Dakota directional state school that shows up in the draft like an absolute beast. This year it was Gray Zabel. What is it that you see from guys from schools like that? I mean, at their level, they're powerhouse programs, right? Like those North Dakota states of the world. What is it about these guys, other than the fact that he's just physically a beast, a big SOB, 6'6", 320 or whatever he is?
Yeah, I mean, that's half the battle, right? I mean, you start with the size, and he reminds me very, very much like Cody Mock, who went a couple years ago to the Buccaneers, who's their starting guard down there. Obviously, you can play the school game. Obviously, they both came from North Dakota State. But the thing with those guys, and I've had plenty of conversations, especially my year coach, and I used to pick the brains of the front office guys. And it's funny the way that certain people view that, right? And so Jason Light from Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like, when he looks at these small school guys, if they're not the left tackle on their team, he doesn't even look at them. So they have to be the left tackle at the small school, right? Like, if you're the kid from William and Mary, who I trained this year, Charles Grant, who went to the Raiders in the 3rd round, better be the left tackle. If you're at Villanova, better be the left tackle if you want your shot. Now, can you get your looks at right guard, center, right tackle? Sure, but it's probably not going to be early, right? It's not going to be early. And so if you look at our Super Bowl team in Tampa, you had Ali Marpet, Alex Kappa, and Ryan Jensen, all 3 small school, Division I AA or lower schools. They were all left tackles at their school. That's first off. Second off, they got the size. Third, they feel like they were overlooked, even though they may have only been a 220-pound kid coming out of high school and didn't hit that 280, 290, 300-pound jump until maybe their sophomore, junior year of college. They feel like they were overlooked because now they feel confident what they do. Their tape is dominant at the college level, and now they got chips on their shoulder. If you walk into the NFL with a belief in yourself and a chip on your shoulder, you got a chance. That's the same way I went into it. I felt real good about my college career, and then I dropped to the 7th round. And so, like, I had a million chips on my shoulder. Like, just give me an opportunity. I'm pissed that I just went in the 7th round when I just won the Remington, right? Like, that's all you need is like a little bit of that. And if you have the right mental psyche, it can take you into a whole nother stratosphere. And I think a kid like Gray Zabel, he was my favorite guard in the draft. He's physical. He finishes. He's 6'6", 320. He's athletic as hell. He's got all the attributes. And then you put that mental psyche with a chip on his shoulder in front of you. Watch out.
You had a pretty good career, above average, a very good career. Battled through some stuff, but obviously your career comes short with your injury. But you mentioned a little bit there about being an offensive assistant at Tampa. Was that year where you just said, this is just not me? Or what was the coaching aspect of your career, and how did you feel?
Yeah, so for me, I love the game. Like, I love watching film. I'm a film junkie. I love learning. I love breaking stuff down. I love
Oh, no. He left us. Mac.
He's going to come back. I can feel it.
Come back, Q. Come back.
Q's Wi-Fi is definitely – oh, see? He's going to come back. He's going to be here. He's going to be back any second. Just relax, okay? He's going to be back in a second. When he's going to finish
Q.
He's going to come firing out with both hands up. Just bang, right up under the pads. He'll figure out that he's disconnected.
I'm wearing the kids
when he gets to the end of that answer.
I'm wearing the kid's hat. It doesn't even fit me, just to tweak him a little.
I mean, why? Why you got to be that guy?
Because I got to be the yin to your yang. You're kissing his butt with the Penn State.
I'm not kissing anybody's ass. This is pride right here, baby. You're gonna steal your kid's baseball hat. We got Q back. There he is.
Came back. Sorry, somebody
you're
called.
You're good.
It off. I don't know.
This is Kaboly just trying to fuck with you, man. This is like first it's the TJ hat, and then all of a sudden you try screwing with your Wi-Fi when you're in the middle of a real insightful answer about crushing O-line film.
I was getting there. So anyway, love breaking down film, love doing that whole thing, love being around the guys, love even if I can take a guy like Ryan Jensen and get him to work a little bit harder in individual, or get him to focus a little bit more on his outside hand or some technique, and now all of a sudden he makes the Pro Bowl that year. Like, that's gratifying for me. And that is all fantastic. And I felt like I could have had a pretty quick trajectory to being a head O-line guy or going that whole route. But then I sit back and I look at the fact that I end up playing 12 years, making a pretty good little living out of it. Having 3 kids pretty quick under the age of 6 and seeing them for a total of 15 minutes during the season. And oh, by the way, I'm coaching for a coach in Bruce Arians who stresses being with your family, stresses getting out of the building earlier than every other coach in the league. And I feel like this just can't happen. I mean, maybe down the road, I can justify that. But for me, like, I want to be able to go to my kid's softball game and coach her, who, by the way, my oldest daughter turned 7 today. So, like, get to be there for her birthday, not be coaching at an OTA game, and I can drop her off at school with cupcakes for her class and see that whole moment, right? Like, so that for me, like, that's kind of where it's at. But then, I'm able to hop on, Pat's show and do the In the Trenches thing and talk football and dive into the film. And then as soon as the season's over, I started with one guy, Robert Hainsey, who I started working with him out of Notre Dame. He was making $600,000 a year. And then this offseason signs with Jacksonville on a 3-year, $21 million deal. That's gratifying for me, right? I get to spend some time I had 13 NFL offensive linemen travel out and train with me this year. I had John Michael Schmitz from the New York Giants. I had Brian O'Neill as an absolute freakazoid stud right tackle for the Vikings. Pick guy, right? I had just a handful of guys. Brendel from the Vikings. I had Runyon Jr. I had this kid Vidarian Lowe plays for the Patriots, and then a handful of college kids that I got to work with this year. So for me, like, I still get the coaching aspect, but I get to do it on a much more limited hour basis, and I'm able to kind of fill my cup with that and the film and what I'm doing in the media side in the fall, and then also in the training side in the off season.
Hey, I gotta ask. It's a homer question. Kaboly's gonna make fun of me after you leave. You might make fun of me right now in the middle of the question, but like, Penn State O-line, we're looking good this year, right? We're feeling good. Like, this is the final step up to the top of the John Wooden pyramid where we find final success. It's like, this is the year, right?
They have to. I mean, it's if they fall short of at least being in the game, it's got to be considered a massive fail. I mean, they got They spent all the money to keep the guys. They keep both running backs. They got the quarterback coming back. They got a pretty veteran offensive line which is pretty cool with this NIL stuff. And you're able to kind of work with agents now. Drew Shelton, their left tackle, is coming out to work with me this coming Monday. So in a couple of days, he'll be out here working with me. But yeah, it's just like, it's an interesting time, right? Like, it's an interesting time for recruiting, for development, for all of these things, because transfer portal, NIL, I think stunts development. Like, when you don't get your way early, you throw your tantrum and you're on to the next school, and you don't get the amount of money that you think you deserve, and you're on to the next school, and now you're holding out in college. And so I think a lot of that is quite interesting. And I think you start to lose a little bit of the dog in some of these guys, and the fact that, you don't start as a freshman. It's like, okay, how do I go earn this? How do I work harder? How do I go get this my sophomore? Oh, I don't get it my sophomore year? Cool. Now I'm really got a fire under me. How do I go get this now as a junior, right? Like, I think you lose a little bit of that. And so I think a lot of these kids, are a little bit entitled. I think, I think it's interesting, but it's, they got all the tools up there at Penn State. They just got to make it work. And they've had obviously success with some guys get drafted early, but like, they haven't had like a full group of animals, right? Like Olu Fashanu goes, and then like nobody else goes like out of their O line, and then they bring everybody else back, and then maybe one more guy goes. But like my offensive line, like Stefan Wisniewski played 12 years in the league. Rich Orenberger played 8 years in the league. I played 12 years in the league, and both our tackles got sniffed in the league. So like all 5 guys had a moment in the NFL, right? And it's like, I don't think they've had that group up front, which I think has held them back a little bit. But maybe this is the year. We'll see.
Q, I take you back, 15, 16 years ago when you were drafted by the Steelers. Was that turned out to be the best of times and the worst of times? What was your short stint with the Steelers like? And how did it set you up for your, dozen-year career after that?
Yeah, the interesting thing about that year was I learned what it takes to be a pro just based on the guys in that locker room, right? Like I was able to just pick pieces of watching Troy Polamalu work, watching Kiesel work, watching James Harrison grab all the boys. And like, I hadn't seen this in college, right? Like I hadn't seen going through a grueling 2-hour training camp practice at Latrobe. And like when I was in college, you get done with the training camp practice, you find in the cold tub, you're back in your room trying to get off your feet, you're doing all this stuff. And I remember the very first training camp practice down there, we get done with it, and James Harrison throws his rubber on and to sweat more. And he grabs, like, it was Travis Kershke, Aaron Smith, Keys, all the boys, and they're all on the elliptical getting more cardio after practice. I'm like, oh, this is different. Like there's some different levels to this, right? And so you get to watch that, you get to watch them practice and run through their stunts, and get to go against Casey Hampton and get to go against some of these guys as a rookie. The most important thing that happened with me was I approached every day as a pro, right? And that, even if it wasn't, in their eyes, good enough to be a starter or even make the team that first year, I'm on the practice squad, but they're able to see me work. They're able to see me finish plays. And even if it's going against Casey Hampton, I'm trying to block. I'm trying to get a good block. I'm trying to finish the rep. And just that little bit, right? Harold Goodwin's the assistant O-line coach at the time. Larry Zerline's the head O-line coach at the time. Bruce Arians is the offensive coordinator, Bruce Arians happened to be my coach for 8 or 9 of my 12 years. Harold Goodwin was my O-line coach for 7 of those years. And Larry Zerline was the assistant O-line coach when I went out to Arizona for 5 of those years. So, I tell young guys all the time, you don't know when your opportunity is going to come, but here's the biggest thing you can't do. You can't burn a bridge. You got to approach every day the right way. You got to approach every day like a pro, because you could go somewhere else and you got that same person in the building, right? I go to Philadelphia the second year. My offensive line coach is Juan Castillo. A couple years later, I get traded to Baltimore. Guess who my O-line coach is? Juan Castillo, right? Like, you start to burn these bridges, you lose out on opportunities. And now maybe that 12-year career now is only 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, because you pissed the wrong person off, and everybody in league circles talk. So I think the biggest thing that came out of it was I was able to watch a bunch of guys who are borderline or Hall of Fame type players and watch them work, watch them learn how to be a pro, and then also catch the eye of a couple guys who ended up being very big, monumental pieces in my career as coaches.
At what point do you, as players, and we talked a lot in the last 24 hours because of the Pickens trade, Mark and I, about Mike Tomlin finally reaching the end of his rope with George Pickens. And this is a coach who's put up with a lot of different players and a lot of different personalities to make it work. But at what point as a player in the room do you go, man, I just don't have time for this guy's shit anymore?
I mean, it happens quicker than the coaches. I guarantee that. It happens quicker than the coaches because the coaches, they'll exhaust all efforts because they draft, especially a second-round pick, right? Like, they've drafted them, especially the front office. And, like, even if the coaches are done with them, the front office is like, second-round pick. Like, we paid him a lot of money already. Like, he's a second-round pick and he's talented. He should have been a first-round pick, right? Like, let's see if we can get him one more year. Let's see if we can reach him one more year, right? But the players see it once or twice and they're like, get this guy out of here. Right? Like, I've had enough of this. Like, you know what it looks like to be a pro. And when you see some different stuff, especially when it starts affecting stuff on the sideline in games, like, you can deal with stuff in practice. You can deal with stuff Wednesday through Saturday, right? But, like, when it changes on Sunday and now all of a sudden you're starting to become a distraction on Sunday, you're starting to show body language that affects the whole team. And now everybody's like, oh, man, he's pissed off. We got to find a way to get him the ball. It's like, well, maybe getting him the ball isn't the best thing to do for us right now, right? Like, we can't just force this guy to the ball and get rid of the entire game plan when we're trying to win a game. Like, we can't worry about his emotions right now. We got to figure out how to win a game. And so when players see that, like, especially veteran players, they're like, what are we doing? We all checked our ego at the door. And, like, now there's certain guys that obviously you can put up with more, right? Like AB in his prime, you deal with it. You just kind of deal with it. Like, AB at the end of his prime in Tampa, watching him work in practice, like, whatever he's saying on and off, like, let it go, because I've never seen anybody work like that. I've never seen anybody run routes like that in a game and make plays like he's doing. So, like, there's certain guys, like, right, like, it's Adrian Peterson in his prime, like, you might let, like, some things slide, right? Like, but when it starts to outweigh the play, now we have to start really considering some things.
Q, I'm going to ask you back to your high school days real quick. Your high school basketball career, how would you rank that? Because I did see you play. I covered a couple of your games that you played. I know what your strength was, but did you like playing basketball, or is it just something to do you were a pretty good basketball player.
I could play a little bit. My junior year was better than my senior year because I was still kind of in it. But then, like, once it got to my senior year, I was committed to Penn State. I knew football was my answer. Like, I wasn't missing a lift. Heck, I missed 2 basketball games against Stowe Rocks and somebody else in the regular season to go on my official visit to Penn State because, like, football was my ticket at that point, right? But, like, my junior year, I had a pretty damn good year. I had a couple 30-point games. I could score. And you talk about my strength. My strength was a layup, Kaboly. My strength was a layup. It was throw a shoulder in, create some space, layup. Like, that was it. And
down on that block.
They see you come down the court. They're like, I ain't getting in front of this dude.
That's it. I was real good at throwing my weight around. I was physical. I could drop, step, and put somebody into the back padding on the wall and have an easy layup. But I loved basketball. Honestly, like, if you go back in, like, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, like, I was the best basketball on the court. I was tall, I was big, I was athletic, I had kind of all the things. Problem was I stopped growing when I got to 7th grade. That was the problem. I was this tall in 7th grade, legit. I was 6'1", 220 pounds as a 7th grader. And then I knew I was going to start on varsity football going 8th grade summer, so I, like, put a ton of weight on just to, like, get there. And it was probably bad weight, but I just had to get the weight on. So I went from, like, 220 to 270 going into my freshman year. Had a pretty good year football-wise as a freshman, make all conference as a freshman and in football. And so at that point, like, I was like, okay, football is obviously going to be my ticket, but basketball was like, I loved basketball more than I loved football growing up. Well, then when I didn't turn into a 7-foot white Shaquille O'Neal, then I was like, okay, all right, I think football is going to be the ticket. I went to a couple football camps between my freshman and sophomore year. That's when I got my first offers. Pitt, Penn State, Michigan State, Syracuse offered me going into my sophomore year, and I was like, okay, football is obviously the answer, but I'm going to do basketball because I felt like I got a lot out of it. I really did. I felt like I got the quickness, playing in a box. It translates a lot to O-linemen. I know we talk a lot about wrestling, which I think that's all this stuff, right? But I think the footwork, working in a box, and doing all that stuff is obviously basketball as well. You don't get as much of the physical aspect out of it, but you do get the footwork out of it.
AQ, we can't thank you enough for making the time this morning, man. I know it's early out there, so we appreciate you jumping on and doing this. Hopefully, we'll catch up again soon, and we'll keep an eye out for you on Pat's show, too.
I appreciate you guys.
I think CBS, ESPN should give you a call, Q. I think you'd make a great analyst. So if anybody's listening out there, give Q a call.
Get this man on a illustrator, crushing some film.
Let's
Absolutely.
Go. The Q-istrator.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Make sure you keep that Penn State hat on the rest of this show, huh? Can we do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right,
I do it just to piss him off.
All right,
AQ, we'll catch up soon, brother. Thanks,
you, boys.
All right, we'll see you. AQ Shipley is the best.
I'm serious, man. He's very good. He should be doing something national. More than, obviously Pat's great.
Pat's international. Come on.
Yeah, I'm just talking about game day weekend, JJ Watt type of stuff.
Yeah.
It would be great doing that.
No, it is. Look, it is the most fascinating part of the game, I think, for anybody that really loves football. Nothing against coverages and running routes and quarterback. I could watch Peyton Manning breaking down a play from 18 different angles every time. It's great. But I don't know if, for my money, there's any part of the game that's more interesting than watching an offensive line pre-snap, especially a center, pre-snap, bang at the snap of the ball, the instant adjustments that get made, and then executing a play and doing it really well. Like, there's nothing that I don't think takes a Pittsburgh football fan, a Western Pennsylvania blue collar, Steelers football fan from 6 to midnight faster than watching a guard pulling and getting 10 yards downfield and smashing some strong safety into the dirt.
Yeah, but it's more than that. You heard Q talking about. There's just the specific things that you have to do. It's more than a big guy hitting a big guy across from you. Sure, that's a big part of it. But, man, these guys have to be smart, have to be light on their feet, as in adjustments. And it's just more than just go hit the guy in front of you. And I think just hearing him talk about some of the calls, protection, schemes, and the Zach Frazier had to deal with last year. Or just it was blowing my mind just hearing him, let alone having to go out and then produce with a 300-pound guy on your nose,
Yeah, being able to do all the mental stuff and then the physical stuff that comes with it is just, it's wild at that level. Don't forget, if you're not one of the first 1,500 subscribers to Kaboly+Mack on YouTube, you're going to miss out on an opportunity to win the Pat Freiermuth autographed Penn State helmet. I'm sure we got some other staters out there after the visit from Q. By all means, go to YouTube/Kaboly+Mack. Go search it right now if you haven't subscribed yet. If you have subscribed, tell a couple friends, hey, go get subscribed. You got to check this show out so I can win the autographed Muth Penn State helmet, because that'll be up for grabs soon. I didn't check the numbers lately. I think we're up over 1,270, Kaboom. Is that acceptable to you for at least early today?
We want to get rid of this sucker.
I know we want to get rid of it. 1,275. That means we only need 225 more people to jump on and become subscribers.
Freiermuth signed helmet. I'm not, like I said, I'm not even a Penn State fan. My wife is, obviously, and she goes, "I'll take it." I'm like, "You got to sign up."
Got to subscribe. That's the only way it happens. So rookie minicamp over the weekend. Keep an eye on Kaboom's dispatches on X for the Pat McAfee show. He'll be telling you what's going on down there on the south side. And on Monday, we will reconvene and make way too early drastic predictions on where each and every one of these guys is going to go.
Oh, plus we got the
schedule
coming out on Wednesday?
Schedule comes out Wednesday. So I think Tuesday we should probably do
schedule.
The Kaboly+Mack schedule, which you're very good at.
We should put the actual effort into it and like put it up on the screen or something.
Okay. I mean, you're asking me to do a lot for a Mother's Day weekend, like graphics and stuff.
Did you go get your mulch yesterday? Your red mulch?
I did. I went and got the mulch, and the shit leaked all over the inside of the car. So now the inside of my wife's car reeks of like manure. And we
That's
spent
a
all
rookie
night
move.
trying to clean it out.
Do not get the mulch or the soil that is out in the open. You got to go underneath where the dry stuff
No,
is.
it was all wet, man. I'm telling you, it was terrible. It's still, I have it on the side of the house so I can spread it all out over the weekend. And it's sitting there in the bags, and it's the water's still leaking out of it. Anyway, so that was my fun. My wife and I spent last night romantically vacuuming baking soda off of the carpet of the back of the car.
No petunias or daffodils?
No flowers, just some herbs and some tomatoes.
Oh, herbs, some vitamins too.
And jalapenos. You got to get jalapenos for the garden.
Okay.
Good fresh ones. That's the way to go.
Big backlash on Saturday night.
Backlash on Saturday night. We'll see.
I had to make my predictions. They're up online right now.
What's your most surprising one? So people get a little tease to go check out the story.
See, I'm in a bad situation. What do I do? Do I pick the boss or do I not pick the boss against Gunther?
I mean, you pick the boss, but maybe with some help. And the help is the interesting part of the prediction. I don't know. Maybe.
Against the boss, maybe I pick the boss to win.
Ooh, okay. Go check it out, WWE.com. Kaboom's got his predictions for Backlash for the weekend. Enjoy your Mother's Day weekend, whoever you may be celebrating it with, you bunch of mothers. And we'll be back on Monday to talk about what happened at rookie minicamp. Tuesday to predict the schedule. And again, after the schedule comes out, Thursday we'll come back and break it all down and tell you exactly how many games they're going to win, because I know Kaboom loves the old WL game in mid-May. Loves drawing rash conclusions way before the season.
So has the hardest schedule on. Shut up. You have no idea what's going to happen week 3, let alone week whatever.
Thanks to our friends at First and Goal Collectibles, firstandgoalsports.com at South Hills Village for providing that autographed Pat Fryermuth helmet. Didn't want to leave without thanking them. And again, all of you wonderful, fantastic people who are watching, we appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you again soon. You just have a great weekend, okay?